Hello, everyone. I would like to speak to you all about a very special subject that I've been turning over in my mind for quite some time, and that is regarding the return of Madison Clark in Fear the Walking Dead. In December 2021, it was officially announced by AMC that Kim Dickens would be reprising her role as the character in the latter half of the series' 7th season, and that Dickens would also join the rest of the show's cast as a series regular for the 8th season. Many Walking Dead fans, myself included, were absolutely thrilled to receive the news of Madison's return. The very thing we've been praying for years finally happened, and we couldn't be happier. However, there are a good number of Fear the Walking Dead fans who, even after getting what they had hoped for, continue to grumpily moan and wallow in the anger and disappointment they suffered by Madison being seemingly killed off in Season 4. They insist Madison should have never been written off the show in the first place, and some fans will never forgive Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg for doing the unthinkable, so they continue to exact their revenge by trashing every creative choice and storyline they create. No matter how hard Chambliss and Goldberg try to give fans a fun, intimate, and entertaining season of Fear the Walking Dead, they just won't budge. They have hardened their hearts, and it's more clearer than ever now that even bringing back Madison Clark into the story won't soften them by an inch. Well, the good news is, Fear the Walking Dead fans won't have to put up with the dissolution and debauched condition of what was once their favorite horror show ever for very long, because AMC just recently announced that Season 8 will be Fear's final season. So it's a good thing that Madison arrived just in time. Or is it?
She's better off with me than you. And you'll get over it. I did.
Not everyone thinks so, unfortunately. On the contrary, some Fear the Walking Dead fans, after watching the Season 7 finale, believed that the current show ruined Madison Clark forever, and felt that if Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg were going to bring back Madison, only to butcher her character, they would have preferred she just stayed dead. But the question remains, did Chambliss and Goldberg ruin Madison? Well, let's explore. I have come across several articles detailing the disappointments and grievances certain fans have against the narrative decisions made by the current showrunners. But there is one that more or less captures and touches upon all of the points I wish to analyze. This article, written by Katie Dahl, was published on CBR.com on June the 6th, 2022, titled, Fear the Walking Dead, Madison's Return is a Giant Letdown, and it reads as follows. It's a disappointing day for Fear the Walking Dead fans awaiting Madison Clark's grand return. Their expectations may have been a little too high in the sky, as Madison's long-awaited return ended up causing more questions than it answered. Since the simultaneous announcement of a Season 8 renewal and Madison's return to Fear the Walking Dead, the fanbase has seen an uproar in excitement that the show has been drained of since Season 4. Madison's return meant for a bright future for the rather dull funk Fear the Walking Dead is suffering in right now. The aftermath of the nuclear explosion and fight for Strand's tower proved to be insufficient enough to save this show. But how about a main character who was once thought to be dead? In truth, it's been, and this cannot be stressed enough, a long ride to Madison returning to the show. Her claim to the Fear the Walking Dead throne has been awaited since December of last year, and viewers have tuned in to every episode of the deplorable Season 7B just to see her face pop on the screen. Now in the finale, Madison is back, but she's not better than ever. Going into the Season 7 finale, it's difficult to be excited for Madison coming back. The most anticipated aspect of the former protagonist making her re-debut was her reunion with her daughter Alicia. But that's a pipe dream now that Alicia Debnam Carey left the series one episode before Kim Dickens returned. Once the showrunner Andrew Chambliss revealed in the episode Insider of Amina that this episode was Alicia's last, it started to click that Madison returning isn't to save the dreadfully boring story, it's to save the failing ratings. Knowing that Chambliss and co-showrunner Ian Goldberg deprived fans of this reunion, their plan is going to backfire on them. The ratings won't get any better by switching one Clark out for another. and Madison's return isn't even as moving as hoped. As predicted, Madison is back as a villain, but a poor one at that. When she comes across Morgan, already the showrunner's first mistake in reestablishing Madison back in the show, she steals baby Mo and calls her an egg. It's most ironic because everyone counted their chickens for Madison to come back as a great character, but she's more a ghost of the character she once was. Essentially, Madison is working for Padre, which is attempting to rebuild the world, but with no connections or attachments. It's assumed Madison was rescued by Padre after the stadium fire, but the show doesn't answer it definitively. Hopefully Season 8 will provide more details to how she got here, but it likely won't happen, because Fear the Walking Dead likes to make things convenient with no sensible explanation. Madison began working as a carrier, a person who steals babies and children for the program. In exchange, that Padre will find Nick and Alicia and reunite them with Madison. These explanations are all shown in quick flashbacks, with Madison talking to someone through an intercom at Padre. At this point, it makes sense why Madison became the woman she is now. Madison's love for her children was so deep that she destroyed communities and killed countless people to protect them. And now it includes separating other children from their parents. But things start to get a little fuzzy when Madison continues to steal kids for Padre after expressing she doesn't want to find her kids. The reason? She thinks they'll be disappointed in her for the lengths she went to find them. Even after knowing that there's a chance Alicia's alive, Madison is so unmotivated to find her that it feels like Dickens is just playing an entirely different character. Of course Madison is going to be a little different after being gone for several seasons, but there should still be some reflection of the woman who turned on the Rosarito Beach Hotel's beaming neon sign to lure a missing Nick in Season 2. The episode title, Gone, references Madison's motto that repeatedly echoed in Alicia's head after the stadium fire. No one's gone until they're gone. It fits more appropriately for the state of Fear the Walking Dead, whose hope for a swift and mighty recovery might be long gone. There was so much potential for Madison going into the Season 7 finale, but unluckily for her, she fell right into Fear the Walking Dead's smear campaign of every Clark family member. Wow, what a scathing analysis. Alas, it's wrong, on nearly all its levels, and I'm going to explain to you why. In fact, I'll go further. I'll even say that not only is this article wrong about Madison's return being, quote-unquote, a giant letdown, but that Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg reintroduced Madison Clark into Fear the Walking Dead in a brilliant and most intriguing way that's entirely felicitous to her character. Allow me to elaborate. In Season 7, Episode 16, Gone, we are reintroduced to Madison Clark, who is revealed to have, in fact, survived the stadium fire, after previously having thought to have perished. However, Madison is not the same she was when we last saw her. At least she doesn't seem to be. Madison is shown to be working for an organization called Padre, whose philosophy holds that children are better off without their parents, and would be safer and better equipped to face the dangers of the post-apocalyptic world. But in order to acquire those children, Padre sends out their swarm of collectors to find and procure them, and bring them to Padre, or rather, to steal them from their parents. Whoa. Madison stealing babies? Madison Clark, a former high school guidance counselor, a mother of 2 herself, kidnapping children? What? That makes no sense. That's not Madison. Well, that's right. That is completely out of character for her. There's no way Madison would descend to such lows. Unless she was forced to. And Madison is being forced. After seemingly rescuing her from the burning baseball stadium, Padre informs Madison that they will help her find Nick and Alicia, her son and daughter, if she agrees to kidnap children for them. Now, we need to assess Madison's situation. She has been weakened considerably by the lung damage she sustained from the stadium fire. She now needs to periodically inhale oxygen from CO2 capsules, otherwise she might die. Madison does not have the energy to travel aimlessly out in the world to search for her children, especially given that there are walkers everywhere, not to mention dangerous people, among other considerable hazards, that she would have to fight against which would surely drain her of stamina even more. As of now, Padre is her only hope of surviving long enough to see her children again. After all, they're the only ones with the resources to keep her alive. They provide her with food, water, medicine, shelter, and more importantly, the CO2 she desperately needs to keep breathing. So, in case you're wondering why Madison doesn't just get up and leave, there's your answer. Not to mention that Padre threatened to find Nick and Alicia and either kill them or force them to do the same things they forced Madison to do, which they seem to be capable of doing. I mean, these people have guns, boats, CO2 tanks, among other things we don't know yet. At any rate, they claim to possess the means to provide for children better and far more sustainable lives than their parents ever could. So who knows what other supplies and resources are at their disposal? If Padre is as prosperous as they say, they absolutely are capable of finding Nick and Alicia. It may be difficult, but not impossible. And it is very clear from the start that Madison is not happy working for Padre. In fact, she despises it. But she's willing to do whatever it takes to be reunited with Nick and Alicia. However, Madison becomes so troubled by her actions that she gradually comes to the point of not wanting to find Nick and Alicia, because she fears that once they discover what she did in order to find them, they will be disgusted with her, and that is something Madison does not want to face. So, she continues to work for Padre, and even comes to believe that they're right in saying that children are better off without their parents, and would be better taken care of in the arms of her leaders. But here's the thing though, Madison doesn't believe that Padre is right. Madison's whole purpose in Fear the Walking Dead was to keep Nick and Alicia safe and provide a home for them. But despite all of her attempts to build them a secure and comfortable abode, nothing has worked out. The hotel in Rosarito, Broke Jaw Ranch, the Gonzales Dam, and of course, the Dell Diamond baseball stadium. All gone. Destroyed. Nothing has worked. And Madison blames herself. And her failure has caused her to reevaluate her own status and abilities as a parent, and wonder if Nick and Alicia would indeed be better off without her. I believe it needs to be made very clear that Madison was not brainwashed into believing Padre's philosophies. No, Madison is too smart to be indoctrinated into a system of beliefs that espouses stealing children and babies from their parents. But she is not impervious to emotional manipulation. Padre bent Madison to their will by meddling with her heart, not her mind. This is an important detail in understanding why Madison is the way she is now. And Madison is completely aware that Padre succeeded in exploiting her. But at this point, there's nothing she can do about it. They won. They beat her. They deceived her. And she didn't realize it until it was too late. Madison has given up. She's even lost the will to live. And if the short clip we got from AMC for the upcoming 8th season of Fear the Walking Dead is any indication, Madison is so disgusted by her actions for Padre, she would rather kill herself than continue working for them. So, if you have any doubts concerning the state of Madison's soul, hopefully this snippet of a scene will put them to rest. When Madison declares that Padre is right and that Nick and Alicia would be better off without her, she doesn't really mean it. These are just rationalizations that she tells herself in order to spare herself the pain of knowing she will most likely never see her own children again.
You're stealing kids.
Rescuing.
Oh, is that you talking? Or Padre?
What do you know about Padre? You didn't answer my question before.
I know they're putting out radio messages. I know that nobody can find them, and I know that Alicia was looking for them.
Why was Alicia looking for them?
I'm not telling you anything more until I get my kid back.
You think you're doing the right thing? Fighting to get her back, but she's in the right place. Believe me.
Why?
Because we can give her a life people like you can't.
People like me?
Parents. You couldn't even feed her.
I would have found food.
Well, it looked to me like you were barely scraping by out there on your own.
It's my daughter. Her mother, she's coming.
What difference is that gonna make?
You don't know what we endured, okay? We survived the bombs.
You're in Galveston. Nick and Alicia
I
were there
told you,
too.
I'm not telling you anything more about them. I'm just saying that our family have gotten through worse than this.
Family is not the answer, it's the problem. That's what Padres figured out. That's why what they're building is different.
You're the woman who put her life on the line for her family. What the hell happened to you?
So then why, after discovering that Alicia, although she was bitten, might still be alive, does Madison not immediately leave Morgan and Ava to search for her daughter? After all, Nick and Alicia are the most important things in Madison's life, so it stands to reason that she would have went to find Alicia at the first opportunity. Surely it's in Madison's character to prioritize searching for her daughter over helping Morgan and Ava find their kids, right? Right? Well, I hate to break it to you, but the answer is... no. It's no secret that Nick Clark had a certain bond, to say the least, with Madison, that Alicia did not. If you were to watch the series from the beginning and paid attention, and might I add that very little attention would be required to notice this, given that it's blatantly obvious, you would see that Madison's attachment to her son is quite severe. I mean, the lengths she goes to protect Nick and be reunited with him are pretty high. And there are even times when Madison is willing to save Nick, even though rescuing him would put Alicia's safety in jeopardy. Let's go over some examples. And just so we're clear, all of the following examples were drawn from the Erickson era of Fear the Walking Dead, not the Chambliss and Goldberg age. So just keep that in mind. Even before the start of season 1, Nick was constantly coddled and shielded by Madison, as a baby, as a child, and even as a grown adult. Despite the pain and turmoil Nick has inflicted on the Clark family with his drug addiction, Madison still continues to keep Nick around to take care of him, and to continue allowing him to live in her house, despite being fully aware of the distress it's causing Alicia. When Nick is taken to an off-site location by the National Guard, Madison and company form a plan to rescue him, as well as Daniel Salazar's wife Griselda and Travis Manawa's ex-wife Liza. Madison is so concerned for Nick's well-being that she leaves Alicia alone with Chris in a parking garage, of all places, while she goes to look for Nick. As a result, Alicia and Chris are attacked by a group of men. In season 2, Nick decides to leave Madison and Alicia to go off on his own, despite Madison begging him not to go. And when she finds out that he was seen in the area, Madison lights up the hotel that she and Alicia are taking refuge in, so that, if perchance Nick sees it, he'll know where to find them. However, this also draws the attention of several other desperate people in need of shelter, potentially dangerous people that could put Alicia at risk. And Alicia herself is disturbed by how impulsively her mother behaves when it comes to helping Nick.
You almost blew the trade. What if Elaine hadn't managed to get those supplies? What about Victor?
We got the supplies. We got them.
You risked it. Because you heard a rumor about a boy who may or may not be Nick.
15 miles away. It has to be him.
How can you know that?
You don't understand. Your child is always your child. He's always
I'm
gonna...
your child. I don't understand. He chose what's out there over us.
Maybe he changed his mind.
I never changed my mind. I'm here. Why isn't that enough?
It seems that whenever Nick is in trouble or goes missing, Madison will stop at nothing to make sure he's safe, and is shown to behave neurotically when someone harms, or has potential to harm, or threatens him. Madison also goes to great lengths to protect Nick from what she believes will further corrupt his already unstable mind, like Celia and Troy Otto. She even murders the former just to ensure that Nick no longer falls prey to Celia's fanatical ideas concerning the undead. In Season 3, when Ophelia Salazar poisons the residents of Brokejaw Ranch with anthrax, Madison chases after her and beats her to a pulp, before storming into Kirotaka Walker's headquarters whilst holding Ophelia at gunpoint, demanding to know what he did to Nick. Whenever Nick finds himself in danger, Madison springs into action without hesitation. Nick. It's always about Nick. Madison just can't help herself when it comes to her son. But whenever it comes to her youngest child being in peril, Madison doesn't seem to attack the problem as fervently as she does whenever Nick crosses paths with death. Anytime Alicia gets kidnapped or is held captive, Madison appears to be relatively calm and relaxed compared to whenever her son is in trouble, whereas Madison loses all her composure when she feels like she's going to lose him. When Nick decides to go out on his own, all Madison can think about is getting him back.
Come on, let's go.
Go, he'll never find us.
He's not looking.
He always comes home.
Mom, it's me and you now, whether you like it or not.
But in season 3, when Alicia decides to move on solo, Madison just accepts it, and we hardly hear her mention Alicia again. Nor does she even attempt to go looking for her. And when Madison finds out Alicia is with Proctor John, she doesn't seem all that distressed. And whenever Madison articulates her thoughts concerning motherhood, it's always centered around the boy.
When are you due?
Don't know. Lost track.
No. If you were counting before all this, you're still counting.
4 weeks.
Oh, any day now.
Doctor says first one always runs to term.
True, that's true. Usually.
And then some.
They say the first is the hardest. Second pregnancy's worse in ways.
Yeah?
You know the pain at any moment is less than what's coming. You know any potential complications? Might have been through some. And you know the moment that tiny thing comes into the world, you're weaker. Because you would die for him.
Wait, I'm sorry. You would die for him? Not for her or for them? Okay. Let's keep going.
Alicia's right. I'm never gonna see Nick again.
He's alive. The boy's bulletproof.
Yeah, you don't get it. That boy was born lost. Like his daddy. He's been slipping through my fingers ever since the day I gave birth to him.
Maybe you've been holding on too tight.
Obviously not.
Okay. All right.
Cheers. Come on. Cheers
Okay.
to motherhood.
To motherhood. All right.
To false hope.
To false hope.
To family.
To family.
To Nick.
Really? What is with this one? Okay. Even in season 4, when Madison finally locates her family after weeks of searching, she's relieved to find Alicia, yes. But she seems to pay even more special attention to Nick by giving him a long hug and holding him close. This is not to say that Madison doesn't care for Alicia. She absolutely does. Except there's one caveat. Madison cares about Nick more than she does about Alicia, sufficiently evidenced by the examples I provided for you. We may never understand why, but I surmise that it's because Madison knows, on one hand, that Alicia is more resourceful and responsible than Nick is, and can most certainly handle herself well enough alone, where, on the other, Nick is reckless, and his incautious behavior and decisions often lead him to harm, and even might get him killed. Either way, Nick is dead, and now that Madison knows it, as well as the fact that Alicia might be gone too, she has given up. She will not go out of her way to go and find Alicia. Yes, even if there's even the slightest possibility she may still be alive. And especially if it's more likely that Alicia is dead. Madison cannot allow herself to hope again, because it will only bring greater despair when she receives confirmation of her daughter's demise. Madison decides the best course of action is to either move on or die. But even if she won't go looking for Alicia, you can be sure that if Nick was the one roaming about with an amputated arm and a lethal infection, but still breathing, Madison would have grabbed her oxygen and her sledgehammer, bolted out of that crypt, found a way to kill the people pursuing her, and left Morgan and Ava to fend for themselves while she went to go search for her baby boy. Despite these differences, though, Madison is still the heroine she was when we last saw her. She's just conflicted, and she's been through a lot. And she's nowhere close to being a villain, as Dahl's article supposes. Honestly, would a true villain, feel remorse for their actions? Would a genuine villain own up to their misdeeds and sacrifice themselves so that another man and another woman could live and have a chance at rescuing their stolen children? And lastly, don't buy into this narrative that Madison and the rest of the Clark family have been ignored and unceremoniously booted off from the show ever since Chambliss and Goldberg came along. The current showrunners have always made sure that Madison's presence was always felt throughout the story, even though she's been gone.
We've done so much. My mom did so much to make sure we were standing here.
Okay. But then why stand? Why sleep? Why eat? Why even live after all of this shit, Alicia, if it doesn't mean anything?
You got them on the plane.
We still have to take off.
We will.
She'd be proud of you, you know.
Not just of me. She died so you could have a chance.
Alicia, I know you don't want to get rid of your mother, but...
Shut up! I'm not talking to you.
You were supposed to make it mean something. And you threw it all away.
Maybe it's time you listen to your friend. Maybe it's time you just let go. This is about your mother.
It's about so much more than that. This is about making what she gave us mean something. To do what she didn't get to. To make this place a place that will last.
Goldberg once said, in an interview with TWD Universe, and I quote, "Madison has never not been a presence on this show, even after her exit in the middle of season 4, after her sacrifice for her family," Goldberg said when asked about Madison's return during a post-season 6 live stream with the TWD Universe on Twitch. Her legacy has continued to live on, and we saw that this season through Alicia, and that will certainly continue as well, unquote. Madison's effect on the series' main characters was always felt, even after her supposed demise, to the point where characters who didn't even know her were poignantly affected.
You don't deserve to go out like this.
I can't help you.
That's not why I'm here. You know, when I met your kids, I was in a place not too different to where you are now. I wanted to get away from everything and everybody. Meeting Nick and Alicia, seeing what you were giving them, they were a big part of when things started turning around for me. So in a way, I kind of owe you. So I think you should show the people who did this to you that they're wrong. That you can fight for the people you care about without losing yourself. Hey, no one's gone until they're gone. Alicia said that was something you used to say.
So, anyone complaining that Madison's character was ruined in the later seasons of Fear the Walking Dead, I would agree with them. But I don't hold Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg responsible for the defamation of her character. I blame the self-proclaimed fans who have spent the last 5 years bitching about every creative decision made by the current showrunners, who whined and complained simply because Chambliss and Goldberg dared to go in a different direction. While Fear the Walking Dead was airing, I was always excited for Sunday night's episode. But then, I would wake up Monday morning to scathing reviews and libel reports criticizing every inch of the show they could find. But the good news is, these so-called fans of the Walking Dead universe won't have to put up with this apparently butchered era of Fear the Walking Dead for much longer, because Season 8 will be the series' last. So I hope the haters can for once just sit down, relax, and enjoy the upcoming finale for what it is, and keep their cynical and slanderous mouths shut. I really hope that this video has helped you understand Madison Clark's current state of mind, and has dissolved some of the sophistries claiming that her character was irreparably sabotaged. I do hope now that you will go into Season 8 of Fear the Walking Dead this year with just as much excitement and anticipation as I am. Thank you all for listening, and have a blessed day.